to the mic.
Friend of the show, let's bring in Bryce Eldridge. Let's welcome in Lee Jung-hoo from Rocky Mountain, North Carolina. He wears number 65, Landon Roop.
Well, I appreciate it, Bill. I always enjoy talking to you.
Let's welcome in Wade Boggs. Let's bring in Will the Thrill. He's the ace of the staff. Let's welcome in Logan Webb. Logan, how are you today?
Hi, I'm doing good. Good to be on here.
Welcome to Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Giants sweep the LA Dodgers.
Sponsored by Lunardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply the best. Right here on your exclusive home of the San Francisco Giants. KNBR, the sports leader.
Welcome in to an extra inning post-game show on a Saturday evening here in San Francisco with Bill Laskey. Well, the day started. Boy, what a great day. A great ceremony for the Wall of Fame. 5 members of the World Series teams, 11 World Series rings out of the 5 players that were put on the Wall of Fame today by the San Francisco Giants. Brandon Crawford, Brandon Belt, Buster Posey, Joe Panik, and Pablo Sandoval. They were all there to get their plaque, and what a glorious day that was with their family, coaches, some ex-players, some other players that were on the Wall of Fame. And it just turned out to be a beautiful ceremony. And then the game started, and the game was just dismal. For 5 innings, it was a pitching matchup between Jackson Jobe and Landon Roop, a 1-hitter and a 2-hitter. Well, in the 6th inning, just like happens all the time, Landon Roop just couldn't throw a strike. He walked 3 hitters in a row. Keaton Wynn comes in and walks the first run in. A run on 4 walks. That's right, 4 walks, not even a ball for a base hit. And then it just backfired on the Giants in the 7th inning. Trent Harris and Reaver San Martin, 2 rookies, went in there, and the Tigers just took advantage of it. With a couple of misplays in the outfield, Leonard threw a ball home when he should have split the runner at second. Of course, Gilbert on a fly ball, didn't have his sunglasses on, lost it in the sun. The ball went over his head. Some rookie mistakes, and that's what we're going to see here as the season progresses, with a lot of young players getting the opportunity to play in the big leagues. And the Giants were shut out for the 12th time. 3 times in the last 8 games they've been shut out, and they only had 2 hits, one by Willie Adames in the 4th inning, and then one in the 8th inning by Leonard. And that was it. The Giants didn't even have a runner at second base. Jackson Jobe coming off of IL. He had a surgery, Tommy John surgery, his first game, and boy, he was electric, going 5 innings, only giving up 1 hit, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts, getting a fastball all the way up to 100 miles an hour. He's healthy. Then Tyler Holton came in for 2 shutout innings, and Ty Madden came in to shut it out for the Detroit Tigers. Their 13th shutout on a pitching staff for the Detroit Tigers, and they ended up going 57-60 with that win, and the Giants dropped to 49-68. One more game tomorrow against the Detroit Tigers. Logan Webb takes the hill. He's been pitching very well for the Giants his last 2 starts. He's got wins. He went 6 innings, 5 hits, no runs against Texas, and 6 innings, 5 hits, and 2 runs against the Milwaukee Brewers, 2-game win streak. But they got their hands full. Troy Melton, a 25-year-old right-hander, 7-1 with a 1.5 earned run average. In 12 starts, 11 of those 12 starts, 2 runs or less. He has just been dialed in. And just last 3 games, 4 games, I should say, 30 innings, 4 earned runs, 19 hits. This guy's all electric. They had him on the Fox game. A young right-hander, really is taking over as the ace for the Tigers. Troy Melton, he'll be on the mound tomorrow for the Detroit Tigers in the 3rd game of a rubber match. The Giants still have 3 more games against Houston. Thursday's a day off. And then next weekend they play the Colorado Rockies for 3 games to finish out the Rockies for the season. But today was just a dismal day for the San Francisco Giants. Yesterday, of course, they win that game 5-2 with a couple home run balls by Devers and Adames. Today, they just couldn't even get a guy on second base. So you got to turn the page and hope this offense gets going for tomorrow, the rubber game of a 3-game series. I really want to talk to fans today. I really want to talk about the Wall of Fame, all 5 players, some great memories. Love to hear what you think of these 5 guys. And, of course, you have the whole infield from Belt, Panik, Crawford, and Sandoval, and then behind the plate, Buster Posey. A lot of good memories, a lot of good things that were said by coaches, Bruce Bochy. And overall, then a nice interview by Kruk and Kipe to each one of the players. And I'd love to hear what you have to say. If you were at the game, I'd love to hear what you saw there and how exciting it was. They didn't have it on NBC Bay Area because Fox took the game, but you heard it right here on KNBR. All right, 415-808-KNBR. Let's talk about the Wall of Fame today because the game just wasn't that way to talk about today as the Giants lose this one 8-0. My name's Bill Laskey. This is the Extra Inning Post Game Show. Dial a number. Let's talk some Giants baseball right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
game may be over, but we know you want to talk more ball. So KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey continues.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
We are KNBR 104.5 and 6.8, the sports leader.
The windup, here it is. Swing and a ground ball to second. And that is Lee over to first. And that's the game. Lee or whoever it was who's there now.
All right, back on the Extra Inning post-game show with Bill Laskey. Giants get shut out 8-0, and when you start looking at this game, 6 times the Giants went down 1-2-3. They only had 2 base hits and a walk, so absolutely no offense. But when you start looking at the lineup that Tony Vitello's thrown out there, I think Bryce Eldridge needs to get off the leadoff spot. He is not a leadoff hitter. Put Jung-Hoo Lee up there, put him back down in the order because it's really driving his numbers down. He's now hitting under 250, and he's just not driving the ball. He's just not a leadoff hitter, and I hope Tony understands this and gets him out of that leadoff spot. Because when you look at the top 4 hitters, when you look at Eldridge, Lee, Adames, and Devers, those guys are really the ones that have been in the big leagues the most. Eldridge has over 260 at-bats. Jung-Hoo Lee's got over 400. Same thing with Adames, over 400. Then you look at Devers, over 400. Then the rest of the lineup is really a AAA team when you're looking at Basabe, Gilbert, Leonard, Kavanaugh, and Koss. And you start looking at how many at-bats they have. Gilbert's got the most. He's got 235 at-bats, but most of the other ones are not even at 50 or 35 at-bats. So this is what we're going to see here because a lot of young players are going to get the opportunity to play. You just wonder if they're going to start making some more changes. Parks Harbor's one kid that really needs to come up to the big leagues. Of course, he was in that trade last year for Camilo Duvall and the Yankees. And you just wonder how long Christian Koss is going to be keeping going out there. He's 28 years old. When you start looking at the future of some of these guys, is he part of your future or not? You'll probably still have a balance of Drew Kavanaugh and Daniel Susac behind the plate. Leonard, I just don't see him fitting in with this team as a left fielder. You start looking at Drew Gilbert, how much more are we going to see him starting every game? Play a couple plays in the outfield, missing the cutoff yesterday, trying to throw to third instead of splitting the runners today, missing a fly ball. So you start dissecting on some of these young players on what they can do and what they can't do. And I'm hoping that they do make some changes with some talent they have in AAA and getting some different faces and uniforms up here. I think that's what needs to see. And you might get a light or two out of some of them. If you're going to start gauging what you have in the minor leagues, especially at the AAA level, then you're going to have to make some changes. And hopefully the Giants will start seeing some of what they have, and maybe they can do a flip-flop. All right, 415-808-KNBR. Let's go to Bruce. He's in Walnut Creek. Bruce, you're on with Bill Laskey on a Saturday. What's going on, Bruce?
Hey, Bill. Thanks for taking my call. I really have a lot of respect for you. You're a terrific spokesman for the Giants, and it's refreshing to hear that.
I appreciate that.
I've seen you pitch, by the way. I'm 80 years old. I think it was up in Montreal. I was playing in a hockey game up there and played in that pathetic stadium.
Oh, my goodness.
Boy,
that place was not a baseball field. And how about, Bruce, they used to have the glass partitions right against where the fans were. So when you were talking to the fans, it was like you were on a hockey rink talking through the glass to them. It was crazy. Yeah. It was not a baseball field. And Montreal really is not a baseball town. They're definitely more of a hockey country. And of course, Montreal. Yeah. Beautiful city.
I remember I played in a high school team. I remember going up there. I think we got beat like 21-0, and the fans were spitting on us. It was terrible.
Oh, they whistle all the time. That was the thing. They start whistling at you when you didn't do well.
Right.
Well, what do you got to tell me today, Bruce? What's up?
Bill, I'm 80 years old, and I've probably seen 1,000 or more baseball games. But I have to tell you that the performance of the Giants was one of the most pathetic baseball games, I think, in recent memory. And, all these trades and who was it, Posey, who's the supposedly president, and even the announcers, John Miller, he couldn't tell the public that it was just one of the worst games he's ever seen. And his friend Petangelo, nice guy, the only thing he could talk about was the Giants and the 2000s, so they won 3 games. Enough of that. They are a pathetic team. It traded away Arise, who they love in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And I just want to know, to man up here and just admit that this is a pathetic baseball team, probably less than maybe double-A baseball team.
Bruce, Bruce, I just kind of opened that up a little bit and saw it a little bit yesterday when you look at the lineup, when you only look at the top 4 hitters, and the only 4 hitters that are really major league level. Everybody else is from AAA. And I know Gilbert came up here most of the time, but he's a AAA player. There's no question he cannot be an active or an everyday center fielder. He can't hit left-handers. And the judgment on some of these guys, they're going to have to make some changes and get some other players from AAA up here to see more eyes on some other players. This was a dismal game. This was a dismal opportunity for guys to go up there and hit. As I said, 6 times, 1, 2, 3. There was no life in their bats. And on a pitching side, how do you win games when you walk 9? You walk 9, you only struck out 5. And Landon Roop threw well, but there's always one inning. He loses concentration or loses focus, and he did it again in the 6th inning. He was outstanding for 5 innings, and he walks 3 guys. Tony comes out and takes him out of the game, and he's all upset. And I'm saying to myself, why are you all upset? You just walked 3 guys. It's still a nothing game. And Keaton Wynn ended up walking a guy, but everything caved in on the 7th inning with 2 young pitchers trying to get the Tigers out. And this is what we're going to see the rest of the year. I'm not happy about it, just like you are. And I'm hoping that he does make some more changes and get some more players up here and give more opportunities.
Bill, if I could just thank you for that, and I'll let you go in a minute. I just want to extrapolate. When you see a guy in center field who doesn't have his sunglasses on.
Correct.
And then when he misses the catch, he looks at his sunglasses and wonders what's going on. When you got a guy who can't make a routine catch in left field, when you got base running, you got mistakes, you got throwing the ball away.
Overthrows, yeah. And that ball to left fielder, Leonard, I do believe I'm saying it correctly, he overruns the ball where he comes in and then the ball goes behind him. That's a minor league mistake. You cannot do that in the big leagues. And then trying to throw to home when he should have thrown to second to stop the runner. You don't make those mistakes at this level. Those are the mistakes you make in the minor leagues, and you correct them. When you get up here, you should know if the ball's hit to me, what am I going to do with it? You can't just judge it. Oh, I'm going to throw this guy out. No, you had no chance. And next thing you know, the runner goes to second base, and you give him another 90 feet, along with the 9 walks that you gave 90 feet on. So challenge somebody on the pitching side.
Bill, thanks. I'll just make one more comment.
Bruce, thanks for the call. Let's go to Mike. He's in Half Moon Bay. Mike, you're on with Bill Laskey on a Saturday. What's going on, Mike?
Thank you for taking my call. I wanted to commend the call screener, because I got disconnected and I called back and he picked me right up. So what I want to talk to you about, I value your opinion and I totally agree with your analysis, especially about the left fielder. But the reason I called is today there were 9 challenges and 8 of them were overturned. That means that umpire made 8 mistakes out of 9. The reason I called is I'm just so upset with the umpires. I really think they should bust that union. And I'll give you my reasoning behind that. Wendelstedt the other day, that was horrible. There was a couple of – now, I'm not saying the umpires are responsible for the Giants losing, but they're part and parcel to it. That game where there was a runner on base and the umpire didn't communicate with the runner to let him know what happened, and he was that cost him a run. And there was another, there was another one that was significant. And these umpires, Laz Diaz, Buckner, Wendelstedt, I could go on and on. And the thing is, they're offering them a vacation, but they give them $1 million to retire. Now, what other profession that if you do a lousy job and they ask you to retire, they give you $1 million to retire. I really think that the ABS is really exposing them, and I don't, in part and parcel, I don't like the ABS. I think it kind of spoils the game, but it's exposing the umpires and how bad they are. Mm-hmm. And if they keep it up, we're going to have robots. We'll have robot umpires all the time, and that just takes away the game.
And Mike, you're kind of like that right now, Mike. When you're looking at a robot umpire, they're doing the ABS. You got replays on everything on the bases. So if an umpire messes up, a replay changes that. If they're going to replay everything. Don't just say you're only going to replay. You can't replay that. You can't. It should be replayed on everything. There's enough cameras on it. Home plate umpires, I really think, Mike, and I've been a pitcher for many years, I think they get upset when you challenge them and then you win. I really think he was getting really upset behind home plate today, and he was wrong. And you said 8 out of 9, and I mean, that's a lot of mistakes on pitches that are strikes or balls. You got to be better than that. You got to concentrate a little bit more. And some of these older umpires, like you say, probably will retire because they don't want to be exposed.
That they're going to pay him for it. See, the thing that bothers me is that why, and there's that woman umpire, God bless her, but she isn't very good. And I think she's tainted it for any other woman that comes up. What I'm saying is get rid of her or send her down to the minors. Why can't, and then bring up, it wouldn't bother me if they were all women umpires,
right.
As long as they did the job well. But
I think the biggest thing, Mike, what you're saying is they just got to be better. I think that's the whole key here. Concentrating a little bit more. There are some real good umpires. There are really some young umpires that really call a good strike zone and keep that box and, very efficient. But some of them, like today, the older umpires, just it seems like they're not even guessing sometimes. They either ring them up or they say a ball, and then they're waiting on the ABS to change it. Let's see what happens, though, Mike. Let's see if the umpires will get better. We'll find out as the season progresses. But you made some valid points, Mike. I thank you for the call. Let's go to Lake Merced and talk to Big Sam. Big Sam, how are you on a Saturday?
What's up, my brother? Good evening.
Yeah, I tell you, it's real quick, Sam. I think what we're going to see here, and I'll make this point to you, I think what we're going to see is a lot of young players, but we got to get better. These young players have to get better in how they're producing themselves on the field and at bats. And you have Tony Vitello, who's a young manager. There has to be some discipline on some of these plays. There's got to be some discipline on some of these young players and make them play better.
Something tells me that you have a psychology background because you're probably dissecting in my cranium what I'm going to talk about, because that's what I wanted to mainly focus on. Are these young guys going to be sustainable? Your McRae's, your Costas, look, I was at the game last night, and I was excited, very happy. Big boy, big Mr. Dominican, not the Dominican dandy, but, Rafa got a beautiful home run. He's like you said, one of the few guys, and I was happy to see Adames, finally get his home run, and they're going to get, probably end up with 30 home runs with about, 45 games left. And it's a few handful of guys on this roster. But the big question for 2027, and Buster's going to feel it out, are these my guys? Will they be good enough to compete for 27 if there's a 27, 28, 29, and 30? Those are just some of the things that a front office guy is going to know whether my talent level is going to be able to compete, or do we have a bunch of AAA guys on this team teetering between the majors and the minors?
Yeah. Well, I was on last night, and Steve Kroner asked me a pitching question, and a fantastic pitching question. If I'm pitching against the Giants, which hitters am I going to look out for? The top 4, because those are really your proven big league hitters if you call Bryce Eldridge a proven hitter at the big league level. Jung-Hoo Lee hitting 300, Willie Adames hitting 220. He's still got pop. Rafael Devers still has pop, but he can strike him out. Then after that, it's a AAA lineup. So if you're in a jam, maybe you walk Devers and you get to the bottom of the lineup, because the bottom of the lineup are AAA guys that aren't even hitting 200, some of them. So this is what I'm saying. There has to be some kind of discipline or movement with some of these guys. They can't just be complacent when they're 0 for 4, 0 for 3, 0 for 1, and they're not even making good contact. That's what I'm saying has to be, if this team's going to be like this the rest of the year, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. People are going to start getting upset because they're going to go out to that ballpark and they're going to see this mess on the field. And this has to change somehow, Big Sam.
Bill, unfortunately, and we go back, for quite a few seasons, and we've been discussing this, and, we want to see competitive ball. Whether this team is going to finish second, third, fourth, dead last, we want to see what a former ball player can do and what his ability to see, not just from the analytics, but as far as team performance. If Buster has the right personnel on that team, he can choose to say, I'm going to sign this player for long. They've got, what was I hearing this the other day? The Dodgers have 5 players that are in a nightmare type of batting average, but they're still sustainable to possibly, win their 100 games. And right now I look at, and I'm happy for a rise. I look at our best player was dealt to a contender that they loving him right now. I'm sure, Bryce Harper is loving that he's got a veteran difference maker on a ball club that is making, a heap of a difference.
It's going to, the change that Buster made, and he had to make these changes and make some moves. And every guy that's been traded, Robbie Ray had a questionable outing yesterday, but everybody else has done well that has gone on from the moves. But what he's left here is a ton of AAA players. And maybe, Barracuda comes up and he's got an opportunity to show himself from AAA from the injury. Matt Chapman's gone for the year. But when you're throwing Christian Koss out here hitting $150, you're throwing Gilbert out here that really can't hit a left-hander, and he's in there every game, and I just don't understand why, if it's Tony and his University of Tennessee boy, I don't know why he continues to play him. You got Grant McCray that can play center field, but he's only hitting 100. You're looking at some of these guys, and you're saying, are they big league ready? And Big Sam, I don't think so. I really don't. I think most of these guys would probably be doing pretty well in AAA, but at the big league stage, they strike out too much. They're not making good hard contact. And if this is what we're going to see moving forward, there has to be some more changes and give some other guys some opportunities.
We got to just be positive. I mean, there's 48 games left. The question is, can they win at least 25 out of the 48? We don't know. Hey, one last one, Bill. It's not that far away. It's a month away. Holy Cross in Belmont has their Greek festival. If you want to link up there, my man, it's right in Belmont. It is always like 95 to 100 degrees, the best food, the best dancing, the best music.
See, you got my attention there, Big Sam. You got my attention. I can't wait. I'm looking. I'm putting the dates down.
Yeah,
thanks, Sam. I appreciate your time, buddy. I appreciate it. Let's go to Novato and talk to Larry. Larry out with Bill Laskey on a Saturday. A dismal game, a good celebration. What'd you like about today?
Hello, Mr. Laskey. Wonderful to talk to you. Loved your career with the Giants.
Oh, thanks, Larry.
You're saying everything that Giants fans need to hear. That I guess Buster's trying to do the best he can, but you're saying everything we wanted to hear, that they're not playing well. The outfield has been atrocious over the last couple weeks. Even Jung-Hoo Lee has misjudged balls and cost us some games. And we just love your transparency, Mr. Lasky, and keep that up. Keep pointing that out. But it's hard.
Let me ask you something, Larry. Let me just ask you something, Larry. In watching this game today, they only had 2 hits. Was there any adjustments in any of their hitters? Were they still making adjustments? Did anybody really hit the ball well? What were their adjustments bat to bat? Because good hitters, doesn't matter if you're AAA or big leaguers, good hitters adjust. If, Jackson Jobe is throwing 90 plus, you adjust and you try to go to right field. If he's got a good breaking ball, you stay back a little bit more. But there was no adjustments. He's throwing fastballs right by these guys. And then you come back to Holton and Madden, and they did the same thing. There was absolutely no adjustments in any of their bats. It was pitiful.
Well, that Detroit starter was pretty good today.
Yes, he was.
Pitching against those rookies, they really didn't have a chance, so they were just in there kind of shaking in their boots, hoping he would hit their bat, because those kids can't hit major league pitching. The left fielder couldn't catch a fly ball.
Wow.
It's just bad baseball right now, and we hope that changes. And it's hard to spend $50 to come to the park and see that kind of ball. I can go to the high school games and see that for free.
And the thing is, Larry, is, you know, you say, okay, hey, they're only going to be out there a couple of games, give them a chance. Well, when you give them a chance and you see what they're doing, then they're not big league ready. And there's a thing about big league ready, mentally, physically, understanding the game. Where's the ball going? If the sun's out, you put your sunglasses on. You cannot miss a ball in center field like Gilbert did today that opened that whole inning up. The left fielder missing a pop-up, overran it, came in too far, fell behind him. You can't make that. Then you throw home when you should have split the runner. Those are all mistakes that minor leaguers do. And you're at a big league level with 35,000 Giants fans there, and these are the mistakes you're making. It just proves to me and proves to you as fans, this team is going to be bad. And they have to make some other arrangements to get better players here.
Well, Bill, how do we keep coming to the ballpark knowing that's what we're going to see if we're pure, baseball fans? We don't really care who wins. We want to see great baseball, and
I'm
that's
right there
not
with
what
you.
we're
They
seeing.
have to play better, Larry. They have to put a little more effort into it. You got to ride these guys a little bit more. Tony's needs to get in their skin a little bit, kick them a little bit more, get in their face a little bit, because this is too complacent for me. This is complacent baseball, and when you're playing complacent, you don't get upset if you're 0 for 3. You don't get upset if you walk 3 or 4 guys. You're complacent because nobody's in your face. Back in my day, and I'll say it's old school, I didn't have coaches or managers in my face. I had players in my face busting you. Players and pitchers get in your face. Players in that locker room get in your face. Bust your tail. Push yourself. Challenge somebody. That's what players do to you. That's the leadership that they don't have.
Devers today didn't make a play at first base on a little ground ball or something, and then he stood over at first base and laughed. Mm-hmm. Willie Adames is still clowning around with the opposing players all the time. And then they'll go 0 for 4 and get a single and go to first base and be celebrating, pointing in the dugout and patting their chest and all that. It's just bad baseball right now, and keep pointing out these flaws. People need to hear that somebody is watching. Thanks again.
Yeah, and it's just, it's terrible baseball, and a day where they honored 5 of the best players for the Wall of Fame, and then everybody was so excited to watch this game. For 5 innings, it was a good game, nothing. And then, of course, the 6th inning, Roop got in trouble, and the 7th inning, the rookies came in, and the Tigers took advantage of them. And after that, it was just bing, bang, boom, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 6 innings out of the 9, they went 1, 2, 3. And out of the other 3 innings, a walk and 2 hits, Larry. So the offense just was not there today, and it's got to get better, and hopefully it will. But thank you again, Larry, for the call on a Saturday. I appreciate it. All right, we're going to take a quick break on the Extra Inning Post-Game Show. Come back with more calls. Got a handful of calls up there, 415-808-KNBR. I'm Bill Laskey. We'll be right back on KNBR, the sports leader.
You're listening to the former Giants righty. It's KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Heard on your Apple HomePod by saying play KNBR.
Doesn't have to be. I mean, there's definitely growth, and it's baseball, so there's going to be pain. But I don't think there has to be what you're saying.
Back on Extra Innings, that was Tony Vitello on the post-game show talking about the growth of players. Well, I understand the growth of players, but if you're happy on what you're seeing out of these players on the field, there has to be a change because this isn't working on what he's producing in these lineups. These guys are not playing at the big league level, and Tony's got to figure this out. Bring somebody else up. Bring Barracuda back up. Bring Parks Harbor up. Put some different people in this because we've seen enough of Christian Koss. I've seen enough of Drew Gilbert. I really have. And I don't like him jogging down first base. I didn't like what he did today in center field. And I know he went to University of Tennessee, and I know Tony's got a little for him. But I've seen enough of him. I'd rather see Grant McCray get a shot in center field. Put some different people out there and give them a shot. That's what I want to see moving forward, and not the same lineup that's not producing. New faces, new uniforms, get it going. We got enough players in AAA, and you got a nice roster to build off of, and we cannot see this kind of game over and over again. 3 shutouts in 8 games. Just think of that. 3 shutouts in 8 games. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Troy Melton, who's pitched us for the Detroit Tigers, 7-1 in 74 innings pitched. He's only given up 44 hits. He's only given up 13 earned runs. He's going to be just as good or better than what you saw today in Jackson Jobe. And Tony Vitello cannot put the same lineup out there, especially when you only got 2 hits off this pitching staff. So we'll see how he arranges it tomorrow. Logan Webb on the hill tomorrow, and we'll see what he does. But a right-hander out there, I want to see more Grant McCray. I'd love to see him in center field, and I would love to see him get some at-bats. Put him in a leadoff. Who cares? Get somebody else in a leadoff and get Bryce Eldridge out of the leadoff spot. I know you want to get more at-bats, Tony, out of him, but he's not a leadoff hitter, and I think he's putting pressure on himself now. He's hitting under 250. Bryce Eldridge needs to be put down back in the lineup. All right, let's get back to the phone lines. Let's go to Pugsley. He's in West Sacramento. Pugsley, you're on with Bill Laskey tonight. How are you?
Hey, Bill. Thanks for taking my call. I feel your emotion. It's killing me watching this. That's what I called to ask you. How am I supposed to get through these last 40 games? That caller earlier, and he's hoping they can win 25. I mean, that is just not going to happen. And
that's a
you're
wish.
Right about the lineup. I think we've talked about this all year. He's never got the lineup right. Why does he have Eldridge? I mean, it's hard to understand what his lineup is doing. And yes, his player from Tennessee. Yep, I'm with you. We need more players. These guys watching this every day. Like, I feel sorry for Webb tomorrow. Going out there, he's going, I got to pitch a shutout for us to even have a chance to win. I mean, our pitchers are under so much stress because they're going on the mound knowing they have a team that just can't score runs. But anyway, I'm right.
Well, and Pugsley, let me ask you this. When you're looking at this lineup, and I've said it, many times, even tonight, the top 4 hitters are your big league hitters. The other 5 guys are AAA hitters. And if Buster Posey traded all this away, what else can he bring up? You got Bo Davidson in AAA. I don't know if he's ready. Parks Harbor's another one that's a prospect. There are other players. Let's get this roster changed and put some new faces in this lineup, and maybe we can see some excitement, because right now, this roster right now isn't exciting me at all.
Oh, God. I mean, Giants baseball is pretty big around my house, but watching this product right now is not right. And just like you said, just bring the young guys up, whether they're ready or not. What we're seeing right now isn't working. And the coach, he's got to figure this lineup out. He's just not had the lineup right all year long.
Well, the best one, Pugsley, was when he had a Rise leading off, and then he had Eldridge and Jung-Hoo Lee, and he had them all up at the top, and then the base in the middle of the order had some good at-bats. That's when they were scoring all these runs. Bryce Eldridge is not a leadoff hitter, and I think he's starting to feel the pressure. His at-bats aren't firm like they were before. A lot of rollovers, a lot of strikeouts. He's got to get out of there and push him down to 3, push him down to 5, get him in a position where he's comfortable and not leading off.
Yes, and just what you said too. These guys, they don't make no adjustments. You know, it's just they have this. I've said it before. This team swings for the fences, and it's hard to watch it. You know.
Yeah, there was no excitement today at all. For 5 innings, you know, I understood it was a pitching duel. 5 innings, it was a good game. 5 innings, 1 hit, 2 hits. Both pitchers were throwing well, and then all of a sudden, Landon Root gets that 1 inning where he goes off track. And he walks players. And to get their first run on 4 walks, that's not big league baseball, man. That's not even minor league baseball. You got to compete. You got to go after these hitters. And this is what I would love to talk to Landon about. Why all of a sudden you start nibbling? You start trying to strike people out. You don't have to. He's got above average stuff to just challenge hitters. That's what he did for 5 innings. And the 6th inning went dark on him, and it ended up he coming out of the game. He was all upset by it. But let me ask you, Pugsley, would you have taken him out of the game right then?
Oh, for sure. He was done. They was just going to keep adding on. You had to make that move right there.
Yeah. Well, when you walk 9 people, 9 players in a game, giving them 90 feet, you're not going to get good results, and that's what happened today. But Pugsley, thanks for the call. Let's go to San Francisco and talk to Safe at Third. Safe at Third, you're on with Bill tonight. How are you?
Bill, my friend, is always good to talk to you. I apologize to the producer what I'm going to talk about because everybody's saying wonderful callers, and we're all kind of upset in seeing this. But we knew this was going to come. When all those quality players left, we knew this was going to come. He has nothing really to bring up, and I don't know where we go from here. We're going to have to cancel this season because we're going to have 100 losses. I can see it now. After today's game, it's no way we're not going to have 100 losses, and then we have to figure out what we're going to do in the off season. So. My heart.
Well, there's some players in AAA right now. Jonah Cox, I'm watching him hit his first home run in a Rivercat game. Jonah Cox can hit. He can get the ball in play. He's got speed. He can play center field. Get him back up here. Get Barracuda back up here. He was doing good. Victor Barracuda was doing well until he got injured. Bring both of those guys up. Start making some moves. Parks Harbor, get him up to play third base. Get some exciting players in this lineup that we can start looking for in the future, not the stale guys that are making all these mental and physical mistakes. It's getting pathetic is what it is, Safe at Third.
Let me say this, Bill. That's great in what you're saying, and you're so very right. I'm a Giants lover since 1953 in New York. Let me tell you, the other part of this, in bringing those future MLB players, is what we have now. It's like some of the callers saying, and I see it, and it burns me to see Adamas up there yucking it up with everybody else on the field.
Yep.
Devers the same way. It's like, okay, is it serious or is it not serious? And you're a young player coming up, and you see this, and you're kind of like, whoa, what is that about? I hate to see it, but baseball has changed so much from the days of Don Drysdale and Juan Marichal.
Old school, man. You didn't do anything like that. I remember Frank Robinson, Danny Ozark. The first basemen couldn't even say hello to the runner when they came over to first base. I don't even want you to move your lips. This is the enemy. This is the team you're going against. That's what old school baseball should come back to, right? That's what old school baseball was. You fought for 9 innings. And you can tell me I'm old school, Bill. Hey, things are changing. But you know what? Those teams back there fought for 9 innings, Safe at Third. They fought every inning, and there was no yuckity-yuck on the diamond. It was all ball, and that's what I want to see out of this team. But we're getting away from that. We're getting it to be friendships, the mayor of baseball. Come on, let's play baseball.
Well, Frank Robinson wouldn't have stood for this.
Absolutely
Frank Robinson would not have. Earl Weaver would not have stood for this.
And there's I'm going to tell you right now, A.J. Hinch from Detroit doesn't take it. Walt Weiss doesn't take it. Murphy from Milwaukee doesn't take it. There are some good managers that won't take it. So why can't Tony Vitello speak up? Why can't Tony Vitello, as a young manager, put his foot down and crawl under some of these young players and get in their face? I think fans would appreciate that.
It's a big mystery, Bill, but I love you. Stay strong. tell the truth about good baseball, and I'll tune in next time.
All right, thanks, Safe at Third. Let's go to East Bay and talk to Hank. Hank, you're on with Bill on a Friday or a Saturday night. How are you, Hank?
Oh, what a rough week this has been, let me tell you. You know, I just think that, well, first of all, let me tell you, last week, I don't know if you remember this, I called with a trade deadline idea or a franchise idea, which sounds so crazy right now. It was to sign Arise and Ray for 3-4 years, and then keep all the guys, and then sign an additional pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
And that sounds like alternate reality. But anyway, what I want to talk about.
Let me just ask you, Hank, if they would have done that, would you have been happy with this roster if they would have just signed both of those players? Do you think this nucleus of the team with Robbie Ray and Arise, do you think that was a team that could contend?
I think in a contend in an 80s, 90s way. In maybe not World Series, but, you know, where there would be a flawed team, but they would have some good seasons. Like my idea was to compete 27-30, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it would have been more like 90s than Sabian. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it would have been fun as heck, but there would have been, you know, some embarrassments. But I think, you know, I'm just kind of floored because, you know, I was so excited about getting the trust of the fan base and the community back. And I don't want to be negative, but let's just say I'm still kind of figuring out, you know.
Yeah, I don't think it's a negative, Hank. I think what we're seeing is realistic team. I think we're watching a realistic roster that is not enough to compete in a major league level. And we're testing out a lot of young players that just aren't ready to play at the big league level. The pressure, what do you do when a ball's hit you? What am I supposed to throw? That's all supposed to be embedded in you by now. Not understanding, I'm running in, I miss a ball, it's over my head. I don't have my sunglasses on a ball that's hit into the sun. That's minor league baseball. This is the big leagues. And you make mistakes like that, you should be benched. You shouldn't be playing the next day.
But my message is this, is that for most baseball teams that aren't, you know, the worst of the worst in terms of, you know, team efficiency or whatever you call it, you know, usually when you have young players, there's a couple of them out there, and maybe they're, you know, playing next to Kenny Lofton, or, you know, maybe they got Jason Giambi in the lineup, and they don't kind of stand out as much.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with this team, we're going to have to be patient with these guys, and, you know, players like Drew and Koss, I know they're having a rough time, but I like these guys. I think they're well-rounded players. I think that there's you know, they might be raw as heck out there, but these are players, Koss and Drew in particular. I'm a supporter of them because you can say baseball.
Why? Let me ask you why. Tell me something that they're big league players. Tell me both of these players. You just mentioned Gilbert and Koss. What have they done at the big leagues that made you feel that they're going to be the future of the Giants?
Well, I think Jonah Cox is up there too. But I think all three of these guys, they have a well-rounded game, and it looks like they've gotten really good coaching. These are players who, what I like is the 5-tool player, or maybe 3, or you know what I mean? So I like that they can do like they can do base running, defense. They have an approach at the plate. It's like they check all the boxes, but they're just exposed out there. And someone like McRae, I think he's real fun to watch. But when you have that many strikeouts, it just tells me that there's a lack of development. But I love his defense. I just think that it's going to be really tough. And, you know, the last thing I'll say is I coach a lot of high school teams, bad high school teams, all that stuff, assistant coach. And I think the way you approach this is you go sort of like up the middle. You know, you focus on shortstop, center field catcher, get that strong. And then for the lineup, you focus on the leadoff hitter and the middle of the order. And I think, and the last thing I'll say, and I like Elder in the middle of the order, of course. And I think we find a leadoff hitter, someone who doesn't embarrass you. See, this is the year when you need to find a player who might not help you, but they're not going to hurt you. And that's what it's about is when you have a real struggling team, is you might say, at this point, who has the less negatives? And I think it's just going to be.
Well, I think, Hank, there's a
Washington's
lot of
biggest job.
negatives right now. They're not playing consistent, bouncing these guys in and out, in and out. I think that's why you're seeing them hit 200. You're seeing them hit 150. You're not seeing the good defense. You're not seeing catchers blocking balls. There's a lot of deficiencies in a lot of these young players, and I understand you give them rope, but you want to see improvement. You don't want to see them go backwards. And I totally understand what you're saying about some of the young players, but you got to see a little bit more development on them, and you got to see them concentrate a little bit more. But, Hank, I like what you're saying. We'll see if these young players produce like you're thinking. Hey, let's go to Hopo. Hopo in Redwood City. Hopo, how are you? You're on with Bill Laskey on a Saturday. What's going on, Hopo?
How are you? Thank you for having me on your show. So I couldn't agree more with a lot of what you're saying tonight. Listen, we all know there's a lot of deficiencies in a lot of the young players, and they got to mix it up. And I couldn't agree more with you in terms of Bryce Eldridge should not be a leadoff hitter. That is bothering me too.
Hopo, where would you put him in the lineup? Hopo, where would you put Eldridge in the lineup?
I'd probably put him 6 or 7, to be honest with you.
That deep, you wouldn't go like 3 or 5?
No, I actually would put Lee as leadoff. I like him more so as a leadoff. That's just my own viewpoint. I mean, some of the young guys, let's be real, there was 4 or 5 young guys there that, I don't know, I think are questionable. I would like to see a little bit more play out of McRae. I'm frustrated seeing Gilbert out there and Koss, and I don't know what they're really giving. I want to compliment you, though, because you're not sugarcoating this situation. You're getting a lot of tough callers calling in, but that brings me up to another point that I want to bring out. This is a compliment to you, Bill, with all the changes taking place and the future of the Giants broadcasting team evolving. My belief and my feeling, and I don't know how other callers feel, I think I speak on behalf of a lot of the other regular listeners to your show, but I genuinely believe that you personally deserve consideration for a color commentary role in the San Francisco Giants, broadcasting network. I really think you do, because you know what? You have just such a professional way to identify not only with players but with your fans, and you tell it how it is, and coming from a pitcher's perspective. I mean, I would love to see you doing more.
I appreciate that, Hopo. I do. I appreciate it. I've done some color before. I'm sure a lot of listeners have heard I did Sacramento River Cats for 3 years. I've done some college baseball. It would be fun, and I'll throw it the opposite way. When you have Hunter Pence, Javi Lopez, F.P. Santangelo, Sean Estes, you do have a nucleus of very good announcers. And sure, I would love to try it. Why not? But at this time, you know what? I'm in my lane right here. I'm happy where I am, and I'm sure Larry Bear and all the other ones that make that decision know where I am if that opportunity does arise. But Hopo, I thank you for saying that to me. I really do.
Real quick before I go, let me just say, and I would never put down anybody, by name, but I will say this, Bill. You stand out amongst all the names that you mentioned, and you can take that to heart, and that's me speaking from my heart, and that's what I truly believe.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the call tonight too, Hopo, and I'm glad you understand the lineup. I think we need to shake up this line a little bit and see where Eldridge goes, and let's just hope this makes it a little better. But thank you for the call. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Still got a good handful of calls coming in, 415-808-KNBR. We are going to end up talking to Ben Ross sooner or later from Cron 4 Sports. And then later in the show, as I think everybody understands, I grew up watching the Detroit Tigers when I was a little kid, and the 1968 World Series was such a blessing to me, watching it on a black and white television my dad bought for us. And that 68 World Series team means a lot to me, and I ended up catching up with John Hiller. John Hiller was one of the left-hand pitchers for the Tigers. He was a pitching coach of mine in the minor leagues, and we're going to hear about him. Only 6 players that are still alive from the 1968 World Series team. Today, John Hiller tomorrow. Denny McLain I caught up with, and he's the last 30-game winner. A couple good interviews if you want to listen to him later in the show today. And, of course, Denny McLain will be on tomorrow. All right, we'll take a quick break. I'm Bill Laskey. We'll be right back on KNBR, the sports leader.
This is KNBR Extra Innings with former Giants right-hander Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Hear him on your Apple HomePod by saying play KNBR. Play KNBR.
Back on KBR with Bill Laskey on a Saturday evening. Giants going to try to win a series tomorrow. First pitch right here on KBR at 1:05. Logan Webb takes the hill. He's 7-7 with a 3.7 earned run average against Troy Melton. He's 7-1 with a 1.5 earned run average. The 25-year-old right-hander, he's got it together. They have won 11 out of his 12 starts. He's won his last 6, so the Tigers are really counting on Melton to really get this team going after they traded a couple of their starting pitchers. And today, Jackson Jobe coming off the IL, his first start back. Man, this kid was electric, 100 miles an hour, 24 years old. Of course, he had Tommy John. This was his first game back. He did pitch last year before he had the injury. And today, boy, bringing it up to 100 miles an hour with that nasty curveball slider. He's for real. He is for real. And the Giants had a hard time hitting him. So today the Giants lost 8-0 on a day where they celebrated the core 5, I say, because it's the Walk of Fame, the Wall of Fame. Brandon Crawford, Brandon Belt, Buster Posey, Joe Panik, and Pablo Sandoval were all there with their family and friends, the coaching staffs, and a lot of the players that were on the Wall of Fame. So a nice celebration the Giants did for these 5 players. All right, let's get back to the phone lines. Let's go to South City and talk to my buddy John. John, you're on with Bill Laskey on a Saturday. You were at the game today, John. How'd you like it?
You know, Bill, I thought, unfortunately, the game didn't turn out well. I mean, we knew there was going to be a pitcher still today, but I thought the ceremony for the Wall of Fame was really phenomenal today, you know.
You got to see the 5 of them, right? And they're a little older now, a little bigger, a little smaller, but, boy, they had that smile going, didn't they, John?
Oh, they sure did. I thought that was the best one. They showed clips of Pablo hitting 3 home runs off of Verlander, and that was probably the best moment they ever showed.
I wonder if Verlander was in the dugout with Detroit because he is traveling with the Tigers. I just wonder if he was in the clubhouse or if he was watching a celebration. He had a lot of friends over there. You know, he was here last year and really made a nice mark in the clubhouse. Logan Webb really talks highly of him. And, you know, when coming over to the Giants, they could have had a little more run support for him. He would have had a few more W's.
That's true. That's pretty true, Bill. But, yeah, it's true. I mean, unfortunately today, 2 hits. That's not good, Bill. 2 hits for the Giants. That is totally unacceptable.
Well, John, let me ask you. The callers and I have been talking about it. Are you ready to make a few more moves, change it up a little bit, bring some new faces up from AAA?
I mean, Bill, I think if you do anything changes, like, you know, for example, you brought up Parks Harbor, who's just tearing it up. Have him give him a shot. Like, I would like to see Parks Harbor. I would like to see Victor Barracuda back. I mean, Gilbert, for no reason, just wasn't hustling on that play.
Mm-hmm. Well, the other one, too, Jonah Cox, you know, he got injured, and they kind of just put him in AAA. He's hit his first home run in AAA. I really love him in the outfield. Of course, he hit 400 in AA. He did have a hard time making contact up here, but why not give him another shot? You know, you're making changes. Make some more changes. Get Victor Barracuda up here. Get Parks Harbor up here. Maybe a couple different pitchers. But I think the merry-go-round, or as they say, the revolving door, I really believe you got to continue to keep doing it.
I agree with you, Bill. And I know for pitching, I'd like to see the tugboat, Matt Wilkinson, you know, when we traded for Bailey, you know, for that draft. You know, I'd like to see him up. And there's another. And I want to see Bo Davidson, you know, who's tearing it up. You know, I want to see him as well, too, Bill.
Well, they can only have 40 people on the roster, but there's some people on this team right now that could easily go down to AAA, and you could take their roster spot. I just, you know, I'm not down on certain players, but people are just not playing up to their expectations. And as I kept saying, the top 4 hitters are really your big league hitters. The other 5 are AAA guys that are trying to figure it out. But if they don't figure it out in 50 to 100 or 200 at-bats, then it's time to make another change. And I think that's what Buster's going to have to look at. You got people moving through the organization. Make this shot. You got a good 2 months left. Give some other people some opportunities.
100% agree, Bill. And, Bill, do you think should there be salary cap in baseball?
No, not at all. No,
John,
you're talking to a pitcher that was through 3 strikes, and we fought for, we fought for salaries. We fought for caps. We fought for arbitration. No, I'm just going to go against a lot of things the owners are trying to do. They're making so much money off TV, radio. They're making so much money on endorsements, food concessions. There's so much income coming through to the owners. and the players understand it, and they want part of it. It's an entertainment. It's an entertainment business. Players are entertainers. Owners are owning the situation. They just need to put more money into the product, especially teams at the lower divisions.
I understand that, Bill. I mean, let's hope they can have a 2027 season next year, but I don't even know
Yeah, that's going to be tough. We'll find out, though, John, but thanks for the call. Let's go to Bill. He's in Livermore. Bill, you're on with Bill Laskey on a Saturday. How's your day going, Bill?
It's going well, Bill. Thank you for taking my call. I wanted to start off, you had talked a little bit about the Wall of Fame ceremony, and something occurred to me today. I kind of went back and looked at the recent inductees. The 2018 class was Matt Cain, Vogelsong, and Wilson. The 22 class was Hunter Pence. The 24 class was Jeremy Affeldt, Santiago Casilla, Javier Lopez, and Sergio Romo, the core four. And of course, this year, as we just saw, the five core players, Posey and Belt, Panic, Crawford, and the Panda went in, right?
Right.
So from that core of, from the 3 World Series teams, all the guys are in there except one. And I'm wondering why.
He'll be in. He'll be in. Bumgarner will be there. He's just, he's on a teeter.
Yeah, no, you're right. There is Bum, but I get.
You also have Lincecum. Is that who you're thinking about too, Timmy Lincecum?
Lincecum.
Yeah. Well, Bumgarner too. I'm linking Bumgarner and Lincecum if you really want to think about it. Both of those guys.
Yeah, but Kane went in 2018. Lincecum's been out of the league for 10 years now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And they both deserve it. I would love to see them both go in. A couple starting pitchers that really dominated back in the day.
Yeah, and when I saw Lincecum, I was wondering, do you think there's something going on, Bill?
No, there's nothing.
Really
it's the stages. It's stages, and they're trying to find him, too. He's had a couple heartbreaks in his life, and he's just staying away right now, being by himself. Okay. Bumgarner's on his horse ranch in Arizona, and he's starting to talk about coming back to the organization. And I think a lot of these guys just want to get out of the game. They don't want that spotlight on them again, and they just want to be alone. I know Lincecum's playing a lot of golf. He's been here in San Francisco for a while, and then he's back up in Washington. But I think some of those guys just don't want that spotlight on them anymore.
Yeah, okay, I got you. That makes sense. So the other thing, Bill, I wanted to talk to you about, there were a couple things, but I know you got other callers. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Vitello and some of the stuff that you guys have covered that has concerned me for a while, which is really development. And, one of the things when Posey came in, and this is his second year now, that I really thought was going to be different was that when guys came up to the majors, they were going to be ready. They were going to be developed in the minor leagues, and the fundamentals were going to be there. And today and this year, we haven't seen that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And I'm wondering, Bill, and by the way, I deeply, like a lot of callers, really appreciate your opinion because you were there. You played. You know what it's like, right? The rest of us kind of watch and see, but you lived it. And what do you think? What's your assessment of what's going on in the organization?
Well, I'll take it right there, Bill, about fundamentals. They can do so much infield. They can do so much outfield. It's about playing the game. When the ball is pitched, what do you do? Do you take 2 steps forward, 2 steps? You follow the ball where the pitch is being made. You take that extra jump. And that's in each individual player. You can talk about it, teach it, but when the game's played, it's really your ability to play at this level. And we see it in some guys, but we don't see it in others. They shy away from it, or they're not comfortable in it. Their compassion is there, but their confidence isn't there. And we see it at bats. We see it at misplayed balls. We see it missed cutoffs. We see them trying to throw the lead runner out instead of splitting runners. We see a misjudged ball because you don't have your sunglasses on. You have them on the top of your head. These are things that shouldn't be happening at the big league level. And if you as fans see it, I'm an analyst, I see it. I write everything down every game. And the mistakes are adding up instead of subtracting. And that's fundamental baseball. The good teams don't make errors. The good teams know what to do when the ball's hit to them. This Tiger team, when you're looking at 21-year-old kids and they're making a spot-on decision in center field, that play today that Max Clark made in center field was a big league play. He's 21 years old. Max Clark doesn't even have 30 at-bats in the big leagues, and you saw what he did. Another one, Kevin McConaughey, the third baseman, 21 years old. He's playing third base like he's an all-star. He's made some errors, but at the same time, he's out there with confidence glowing. Bryce Eldridge, I'd love to see him play a little more first base, but I understand Rafael Devers, and he's done a great job. But you can't keep Eldridge leading off. He's not a leadoff hitter. Put him in a place where he's comfortable at. Some of the mistakes they're doing, fundamental baseball, how they're proceeding to get players at bats and how they're putting in different positions in the outfield and infield, they got to clean it up a little bit. And if they can, then we're going to see some progress. But right now, we're not seeing progress. Today's game, I thought, was very, very ugly in all different parts of the game. Defense, offense, no life, no fight. And today, that's what you saw. 8-0 with only 2 hits and 9 walks out of your pitching staff.
Not good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One final thought, too, that I wanted to say, because an earlier caller talked about they liked Drew and they liked Koss, and you said, what do you like about them? And you had pointed out, Bill, Barricado and Cox, Jonah Cox, and those are the
Parks
two of the
Harbor's
guys
another one I'm
really
really pushing. Yeah, those 3 players, I really want them up here. And Bo Davidson, sooner or later, I know he's not big league ready, but I'd love to see him up here. Why not give him a shot? Show him what the big leagues is about.
And they have tools, though, Bill. Cox
Yes, they
and
do.
Barricado have tools that stand out. That's what I would say about it's. Gilbert and Koss, I think they're major league players, but they feel like really good utility or 4th or 5th outfielder kind of people to me. Whereas
Defensive
Barricado
replacement.
and
A
Koss
defensive
feel like they got
replacement
those
is what he
higher
is.
ceilings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just they're getting exposed. And when you get exposed, when Gilbert can't hit a left-handed pitcher and Koss is having a hard time catching a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, they're getting exposed. Just like what happened to Riley Green today for the Tigers when Landon Root struck him out on changeups. He got exposed. And what do you do when you get exposed? You continue to throw that pitch until he hits it. And if he can't hit it, look what he did. He struck him out 3 times on changeups. And in one at bat, he threw 3 of them in a row and struck out 3 times. You get exposed to certain pitches. You get exposed to certain placements of where the pitch is. And as a pitcher, I'm going to wear you out until you show me you can make that adjustment. If you don't make that adjustment, you're an out, next guy up. That's what big league pitching is. That's what big league hitting is. And that's where adjustments have to be made if you're going to be a big league hitter.
There you go.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate your time. Let's go to Stockton and talk to Willie. Willie, you're on with Bill Laskey on a Saturday. Hope your day's better than what the Giants performed today.
Hi,
Are
Bill.
you there? I'm good, Willie.
Yes, I'm from South Park.
Oh, okay. Talk to me, Willie.
I got a question for you. This is Willie Adames, man.
Okay,
I
I'm
got
ready
a
for
question
it.
for you.
Fire away.
What's your favorite Gatorade flavor?
Why do you ask?
Because mine is pepino.
Okay.
I had to play it.
All right. Tell me a little bit more about your Gatorade baths.
Pepino?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, it feels good on the skin. It
Okay.
feels good after the shower.
Okay.
Conditions my hair. And keeps my jersey clean, man.
Good. Well, I'm glad. And what else you got to tell me, Willie? What else do you do to make yourself a better player?
I listen to Ron Washington. He's the best.
Okay. And what about hitting? Who do you hit? Who do you use your hitting coach?
Man, I don't listen to him.
All right, Willie. What do you want to talk about, buddy? Tell me.
Hey, no, I wanted to ask you what your favorite Gatorade is.
It's grape. I drink grape. I love the grape taste.
The grape. Oh, the purple stuff, huh?
Yeah, I like it. Refreshing.
That's right.
All right, Willie, I got other callers. Thanks for the call. Let's go to Hayward and talk to Rick. Rick, you're on with Bill Laskey on a Saturday. Tell me what's going on with this Giants team.
I have to follow that.
What's your favorite
God.
Gatorade, Rick?
Orange, I guess. I don't know. I can't. I haven't thought about that one. The blue. The light blue.
The light blue
the
taste.
The frosty one. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it isn't what I called you to talk about. Let's see here.
It's Saturday night, Rick. It's not that late, so I mean we're still got some people that are still cognitive in what they're thinking about. But then you always get that little curveball in there, which I'm fine with.
Yeah, I get it. Hey, a few weeks ago you were talking about the challenge system and challenging
ABS?
the pitches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the ABS. And today, I just started, as soon as Eric Caro said that was a bad call on that first inning, first at bat by Eldridge, I thought of you. I immediately thought of you, and I immediately thought of what you were talking about with that caller and how I totally agree with you. You got to save a challenge for the end of the game. You don't take a challenge on the first strike call. And you pretty much shouldn't even take a challenge unless, like, the bases are loaded and you have an opportunity to have a second chance at bat in the first 4 innings or 5 innings. You've got to save those challenges. This is the whole concept of fundamental baseball, which I think the Giants are doing anything but. From the lineup to the way they're playing in the outfield, to the lineup construction, to the way players are not paying attention. They don't have that crispness to them. I could go from player to player to player. I can mention every player on this team. I agree with you 100%. Drew Gilbert should not be in this league. Grant McCray should not be in this league. You can't have a batter batting 100 with 10 strikeouts and 30 at-bats. I'm sorry. He's a great defensive player. I mean, but on this team, he is somebody that we can't afford to have.
He's a pinch runner.
Honestly.
He's a pinch runner. He's a defensive replacement, and you can't count on him going 2 for 3. He can lay a bunt down if he gets up there. I really would love to see maybe Barracuda lead off. I wouldn't mind seeing Grant McCray try leading off. I want to see Eldridge out of the leadoff spot. I really think he's gone backwards as a hitter. Your thoughts on Eldridge leading off, Rick?
Oh, God. I just was looking at his month of July.
It's terrible.
And his month of August. And he's batting 202 with, one home run in his last 17 games. And I think he's only got 5 RBIs. And, he's not. He's regressed, and that's the unfortunate thing about this whole team. You've got pitchers that shouldn't be up on this team right now. I don't know why they brought Seymour back up. He isn't. He's not going to show me nothing. Same thing with Beck. Beck isn't showing me nothing.
Yeah, Tristan Beck's back in AAA. I hate to say it, but I don't think we'll see him again. I think he's worn out his welcome, even though he's been up and down, 10, 15 times. And who knows if that mentally shook him up. Trent Harris, he's had good stuff. Today, his first time in the big leagues, you got to give him a break. The other one is Reaver San Martin. Reaver San Martin's been up here a few times. He needs to throw more strikes. I think that's one of his outfit.
Yeah.
And sometimes he's throwing right down the middle. I think he's got to cut edges a little bit better.
I think he's got velocity, but he definitely has problems with his command.
Yep.
I mean, same thing with Landon. How do you walk 3 guys? He just loses it so quickly.
Yeah, but, I was talking last night to Steve Kroner, and we were talking about the focus I mean, for 5 innings, again, he was outstanding. 2 hits, and he got out of it, and the 2 hits was that little spinner down the first base line, and then the ball that was hit to left field, that Leonard, I think I'm saying his name right, he came in too fast, and the ball went behind him. I mean, those mistakes right there you can't do. That's a pop-up. That's a pop-up in the left field that he's got to stay under. And if you don't see it, then you have to put sunglasses on or shade your eyes, do something. You can't miss that ball.
I don't understand how you could have your sunglasses sitting on top of your hat.
Yeah, Drew Gilbert really exposed him big time on that ball. It really did.
I mean, if that were Frank Robinson, he wouldn't be on the Giants tomorrow. I mean, I know that. I don't understand this, Bill. It's like we're coddling these players now. I don't understand this. It's
and that's why this lineup has to be shook up. This lineup we saw today cannot go out there like this tomorrow. It can't. It's got to be changed. You cannot put these players back out there. Put Grant McCray in center field. Give him a shot. Put somebody in left field. Give him a shot. Do something different. And you got to reconstruct the lineup tomorrow. You cannot put the same 4 hitters from 1 through 4. Put somebody in the lead. Put Jung-Hoo Lee in a leadoff spot if you have to. Get Eldridge out of the leadoff spot.
Bill, how many times this year have we said that Tony's got to reconstruct the lineup before it makes no sense to say
we
it
did
anymore?
that in the first month.
How many times?
Remember that, Rick? We were asking each other, how come he's got the same lineup out there for a month, it seemed like?
Bill, how many times have you said, and rightfully so, we could have won this game if he just would have used the bullpen correctly today?
Yep.
Well, I mean,
I've been saying that all year.
This is getting old, Bill. This is getting old, and I don't understand it. You want to bring up kids to try to put them in the best positions to succeed, but right now Tony's not doing it. It's just like run the same lineup out there every day, and you're not going to. It doesn't matter now.
Rick,
49.
I mean, Rick, I'm sorry to say this, and maybe I'm out of spoken here, but I want to see a little more fire out of Tony V. He's got to show some expression. He's got to show some emotion instead of just standing there. He stands there, and he needs to be boisterous. He needs to get in the dugout and talk a little louder. Talk to these players when they come in. Get in their face a little bit. I want to see that out of my manager. You got to do something to fire up this crowd. You got to get something out of these players. They're too complacent with losing, and that's what I'm seeing too much of.
2 hits today. I mean,
I know.
Bill,
well, we got a good game tomorrow. We got a couple good pitchers tomorrow, Rick. This Troy Melton, I'm really anxious to see him pitch for the Tigers, and of course Logan Webb. It'll be another one of these 4, 5, 6 innings, maybe 0 runs, and we'll see if the Giants could put something together to gather some momentum to get some runs for Logan. And you know what? It's going to be a pitching matchup, and then the Astros come into town, and the Astros are playing a little bit better than the Tigers, so they're going to have to play better baseball. But, Rick, have a great rest of the Saturday night, and we'll find out what this Giants team is going to do tomorrow. All right, we're going to bring Ben Ross on from Cron 4 coming up next. We'll talk a little bit more about the ceremony of the 5 players that went up on the Wall of Fame. So Ben and I will talk about that next right here on the Extra Inning Postgame Show on KNBR.
KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey keeps the postgame rolling live right here.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
On KNBR 104.5 FM and 680 AM. The sports leader.
Back on Extra Innings with Bill Laskey. Giants lose a tough one today, 8-0. That's their 12th shutout of the year and have 3 shutouts in their last 8 games. Tomorrow, a 105. Logan Webb's going to try to win the third game, the rubber game of a 3-game match with the Detroit Tigers against Troy Melton, a right-hander. He's 25 years old. First pitch right here on KBR at 105. All right, my good friend from Cron 4 Sports joins me next. Ben Ross. Ben, how are you on a Saturday?
Bill, doing great. How are you?
Oh, it could have been better, but I think a lot of fans are saying what I'm saying. I think what we're seeing on the field isn't what we're looking for in prospects and better played baseball. I love the one caller I had about fundamentals of the game has slipped away a little bit, and I would love to hear what your take is when you're watching this team, especially today.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Today was definitely a tough one to watch from a fundamental standpoint. Some shaky fielding there, and obviously just the 2 hits. And one that you'd like to forget. I mean, I think that, unfortunately, this has sort of been the Giants all season long. Like, one night they'll look good, the next night they'll look terrible. Just no consistency right now. And, you know, I know it's a very different team than we saw early in the year. Like you said, we're getting a look at some of the younger guys, and you know, these next couple of months will hopefully be an opportunity for some of the younger guys to get major league playing time. And I think there are going to be some growing pains, and I think you are going to see some nights or days like today. It's just you know, it's an opportunity for all these guys to prove what they can do, and hopefully a chance for the front office and everyone else to sort of scout and see, you know, who's going to hopefully be a contributing part of this team next year. But yeah, tonight's one you'd like to forget. Hopefully they bounce back tomorrow and look a lot better.
Well, Ben, you know, the conversation really circles around Landon Roop. He's pitched very well in every game he's pitched, but he's always gets in these innings where he just kind of loses it, and ball 1, ball 2, ball 3, ball 4, and he did it again today after 5 stellar innings in which he really kept composure, kept his pitch count down, And you start thinking, man, he's dealing today. After 5 innings, 65 pitches, 44 for strikes. How can you change that all of a sudden in 1 inning? And he couldn't throw a strike, and he ends up walking off with bases loaded with 3 walks. And he looked upset at Tony Vitello. Tony in the post-game said, hey, he's a competitor. I understand where he's coming from. But I don't think you really want to see young pitchers do that to a manager. What are your thoughts on Landon Root?
Well, and I think you don't want to see a pitcher do that when they've just walked the bases loaded. And like you said, he's a guy who has had these innings where he just unravels and loses the strike zone. I want to throw the same question back at you, Bill, because you're the pitcher. So you tell me, I mean, how does a guy look so in control for, 5 innings? And then we've seen this multiple times throughout the season where it's just this 1 inning where he kind of loses the strike zone. It kind of reminds me of Roki Sasaki with the Dodgers. Obviously, I think Sasaki maybe has more dominant stuff, but it's the same kind of thing where I don't know if it's a mental block or if it's something with the delivery that he just sort of loses. But obviously that's going to be the next step for Landon Roop. I mean, I think if you're Tony Vitello right now, you're keeping a really close eye on Roop, because as good as he can look early on, you have to be aware of those warning signs where it might come apart and you don't want to leave him in too long. And so for a guy like Landon Roop, that's going to be something he's got to work on and address this offseason, because you're not going to really be able to rely on him if he has these types of innings. I mean, 5 walks again today for the game. That's really been the issue for him. He's had a lot of outings with 4, 5, 6 walks, and you just can't win at this level that way.
And it seems when you look at his last few outings, in San Diego it happened in the 2nd inning. In Milwaukee it happened in the 3rd inning. It just seems like 1 inning he just either tries to nibble and he gets behind, or he tries to spin it too much and the balls miss and they're low. But he chisels the strike zone at times. Like today, is like I said, for 5 innings he was aggressive. He was going right at guys. A good changeup today. When you look at his missed 31 changeups, 24 sinkers, 24 curveballs, that's a beautiful 3-pitch mix. And in the 6th inning, everything unraveled. He couldn't throw a strike. A couple of them were 4 straight. That's where the mental side of the game really has to come over him. And I think that's one thing he's going to have to really dwell on moving forward. He's only 27 years old. He's got lights out stuff. Look what he did for 5 innings. But I think the mental side of the game, either the catcher's got to come out there. Message did come out there. It didn't work. And this is something that he's going to have to get over.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on it too, Bill, because I feel like a lot of pitchers, when they kind of lose the strike zone, oftentimes veteran pitchers at least have, they kind of see what's working. You talk about his 3-pitch mix, and a lot of the time the better pitchers out there, they've got one pitch that might be working that day. It's not necessarily the fastball. Sometimes it's the curveball they can throw for a strike, or the slider, or whatever it may be. I mean, is that something that maybe Landon Root needs to get back to, just having a better feel for which pitch he can throw for a strike when he needs to?
Well, when I pitched, I had a sinker slider, so I had balls moving inside, outside. But the best thing I had was a cross-seam fastball that went like a bullet, straight. And I could throw that when I went 2-0, or if I had to challenge a hitter to get ahead. And then you go with the movement, but he doesn't throw that many. Today, he only threw 2. And he threw 4 cutters. And a cutter's kind of like a fastball, just kind of slides to the left a little bit. And I think those are the 2 pitches he has to increase on to throw more strikes. Hey, it's 0-0 going in the 6th inning, and he walks the first hitter, and he walks the second hitter. And then he gets Riley Green on a changeup again. Riley Green struck out 3 times on changeups. But he went to that purpose. And then the next hitter, he walks on 4 straight pitches. So it's got to be mentally to say, all right, let me throw this guy for a strike. Challenge this guy. As my old pitching coaches would say, I'd rather you back up third after a hit than backing up third on 3 walks. And you're really not backing them up.
Sure.
You're literally upset, and you're getting madder and madder, and you start aiming the pitch. You start overthrowing the pitch. And the movement on the pitch, especially with ABS, the pitches are tighter now, so you have to challenge the hitter.
Yeah, and I think you're right on that, and especially with a guy like Landon Roop, who only gives up 2 hits today and looked so good through 5 innings. I guess that's where you do have to trust your stuff and realize, you know, I don't have to nibble. I don't have to hit the corner. It's nice to, but, you know, if you mix your pitches and you mix velocity and location, you can get guys out without being too precise.
And Ben, look at the 2 hits he gave up. The little spinner down the first base line off the end of the bat, and a fly ball to left field that Leonard
should have been caught.
Runs over and it falls in. Those were really only 2 hits. So in my mind, I'm like, they're not hitting me, right? They're not hitting me yet. So why not go at you?
That's a great point. Yeah, he basically had not allowed a legitimate hit up to that point for the whole game.
So then you look at on the other side, you know, the fundamentals. We talked about it a few times with a couple callers I had. A fundamental baseball, it's really during the game. You can hit infield, you can hit outfield. You're at the games, you see all the pre-game activities and all the things they do at drills. But it's the younger players that need to start going all the way back in Little League when you say, if the ball's hit to me, what do I do? You know, that's really the basic way of every infielder and outfielder. And I think that's what sometimes with these young players, I don't know if they're thinking too much, they're looking at their defensive card too much, because some of the fundamentals are bad baseball.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, look, it's not a lack of effort. These guys do put in the work. I see it pregame. They're working on technique and everything like that. But you're right. A lot of it is mental. I remember last year, I think it was, where Elliot Ramos was going through a rough defensive stretch, and he was pretty honest with the media. Kind of just said that he was pressing. He was trying too hard. Like, you know, he did get in his head about making these mistakes and almost wanted to make up for it. And sometimes that was the problem. I don't know. I think you're right. I think sometimes keeping it simple is better. Just like the little leaguers do, right? Just say, you know, go through it in your mind. Where's the play going to be? What am I going to do if it comes to me in this situation? And I mean, if nothing else, that's a good way to keep your mind in the game and stay on it. And you're right. I think that is something where a lot of these younger players struggle. You know, part of it might also just be that they're adjusting to so much at the major league level that maybe sometimes the fundamentals are the things that get forgotten when there's so much else that they're worried about and, you know, going on in their mind.
It really comes down to, Ben, about confidence, right? It builds the confidence of the player. And I think that's the key.
Yeah.
I mean, 35,000 people out there again today, you know, watching your back, and you're making the strangest mistakes. And, you know, even pitchers not covering first base when a ground ball's hit, or infielders not flipping a double play correctly. There's been so many different fundamentals that have gone backwards for this Giants team. And like I said, you and I have been out there. We watch what they do, but it's in game is what they need to work on.
No, you're right. I mean, it's obviously it's a lot easier to do it when nobody's watching, when it's before the game, right? And the fans aren't really paying attention yet, and there's no stakes. You're right. In game, it's a completely different level of pressure. And again, look, it's not an easy sport sometimes because there is a lot physically and mentally that you've got to balance that's going through your mind. But I think, to your point, confidence is so important, because if you're trying too hard, if you're trying to do too much, I mean, just like in life, if you're trying too hard, sometimes that's when it goes the worst. You just have to relax and sort of let your trust your training and, you know, obviously mentally know what you're going to do, but not worry about it too much.
Ben Ross joining me. Of course, you can see him on Cron 4 Sports. Does a great job over there anchoring, and you can also follow him on X at Ben Ross Tweets. Very simple to look up. But before the game today, 5 players got put on the Wall of Fame. Every one of them had a World Series ring on them. 11 World Series rings on all 5 of them. A nice array of some great players, some great memories. What'd you think of the ceremony today?
I thought it was really cool, and I was really excited that I got to talk to them afterwards. You know, a group of media after the ceremony got to chat with them, and it's just fun to see those guys together again. I think they really enjoy it. That's, you know, what the honor is fantastic and well deserved for all of them. But they talk about getting to spend time with each other, and for their families to get to spend time with each other. That's what kind of stuck out to me. I think it was Buster Posey who said, you know, everyone pays attention to the players and how much time that we spent together on the field and during our careers, but people don't realize, our families, our wives spend a lot of time together. Our kids, Brendan Belt was saying his kids didn't care at all about the Wall of Fame. They were just excited to see the other players' kids that they used to hang out with. So, I mean, it's really cool when you see those guys come together again, because it is, I mean, better than me, being a part of a team like that, it really does become like your family.
Well, it's exciting to see their kids and how grown up they've been. Buster Posey's son and daughter, I remember, were very tiny when he played. And then you start looking around at Brandon Crawford's 5 kids, and they're all almost in high school now, And I think his oldest daughter's in 8th grade. And you start thinking about all the little families they had when they played. And, we're all older, but those families were sure excited today for their dads.
Well, absolutely they were. And I think it's just a nice chance for those guys to reminisce and for fans too. I mean, look, this has not been a fun season for a lot of Giants fans. So, you don't want to live in the past. And I know Giants fans are probably tired of living based off those 3 World Series, but it is nice to reminisce and hear these guys talk about some of their favorite memories playing together and some of the moments that they remember. I mean, those guys really built something special. And for Buster Posey in particular, it was nice to see him kind of take off the GM hat or the president of baseball operations hat and put on his player hat again and kind of talk about some of the memories and the experiences from his playing days, because it has been a tough year. And, hopefully these kinds of things can take some of the heat off for a day and let him remember the fun of baseball. And it was nice hearing the other guys talk about Posey too. To a man, all the other players that went in today have a lot of confidence in Buster Posey. They all say, he's the smartest guy of the group. He's the best baseball mind. He's going to get this thing figured out. They all really believe that he knows what he's doing. And, it's hard to argue that from his playing days. He is a great baseball mind. So we'll see if he can help get the Giants back on the winning track.
Ben Ross from KRON Channel 4 Sports joining me on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. Each one of these players had something special in them. From, when you looked at Joe Panik with the play in Kansas City with the backhand, and a double play that was so instrumental in winning that World Series, to Pablo Sandoval hitting 3 home runs in the first game of the World Series. You went on and on, from Brandon Belt hitting that home run in Washington, Brandon Crawford with such defensive plays, then hitting a grand slam against the Pittsburgh Pirates in the elimination game. And then you take Buster Posey on some of the things he did, from being the National League Rookie of the Year to becoming the National League MVP, and, of course, the home run against Latos in the NLCS. Every one of these guys had a piece of those puzzles of winning the World Series, and I think you probably saw that today.
That's exactly what they all talked about. It was cool to see Pablo Sandoval kind of list off each guy's great moment. It was a good question. I can't remember who asked it, but basically, what's one memory from your career that you really remember? And Pablo Sandoval took it and mentioned all of those plays that you had talked about. And you're right. I mean, I think that's what was really special about those teams, is that it required everybody, and so many different guys stepped up in different ways. That was just huge. I mean, they were truly the ultimate team. The other thing that stood out to me today is, I think it was Joe Panik sort of talking about how every player on those teams, they were the same guy in the clubhouse as they were on the field, and in their personal life too. They were able to sort of be themselves. He joked that, he said basically Pablo Sandoval was the energy guy. He joked that Brandon Belt was half asleep, taking his naps up until game time. But then the one thing that they all had in common is truly competitive, right? The ultimate competitors, loved winning, hated to lose, and it came through. So
yeah,
I think that's
I
part
love
of
what Buster Posey
said.
Buster Posey said you can't be scared to play this game, and Bruce Bochy
right.
said that also about all 5 of them. They played smart baseball. They were fundamentally sound, and they played together. And I think when you look at this whole team of all 5 of them, and I can still picture them playing out there. I'm sure you do too, and I'm sure a lot of the fans who were at the game today could picture all those guys in a Giants uniform and what they perceive to do in bringing 3 World Series to the Giants and the Giants fans. Not all of them, but when you look at Buster and Pablo having 3, and then you have Crawford and Belt having 2, and Panic being having 1, it's still that family of all 5, and they held a beautiful, beautiful ceremony today.
What's crazy is it really hasn't been that long since these guys were playing. I mean, right? I mean, Brandon Crawford just retired a couple of years ago. Obviously, Posey not that long ago. Brandon Belt. So yeah, you can really remember these guys playing. And you're right. I mean, it was cool to see them sort of come up together. They commented on how it was fun for all 5 of them to go into this, go onto the Wall of Fame in the same class, because they did kind of all come up together. I mean, a little bit staggered, but it was fun hearing them reminisce about the first time that they all met each other and how they were in similar positions, just breaking through to the major leagues. And I think we saw all of their careers sort of grow together, especially when you talk about guys like Brandon Belt, Crawford, and Posey. And then Joe Panic sort of talked about how those guys all helped him, and having already had 1 World Series. And I mean, again, those guys, you can see how much they mean to each other, and how much this city means to them, and how much this organization means to them. And I think for the fans, that must have been really, really cool to be a part of today.
Ben Ross joining me for a couple more minutes on the Extra Inning post-game show. When you saw the coaching staff out there, I thought that was pretty cool, with Bruce Bochy, Dave Righetti, Mark Gardner, Tim Flannery, Ron Wotus. That coaching staff was authentic, and boy, they put a lot of hours and detail into winning 3 World Series. And I liked when they all spoke. They said some things about different pitchers and players and teams. I thought that was well-deserved by all the coaches speaking up.
Absolutely. And you're right. You talk about some great baseball minds. I mean, I feel so fortunate that those guys are still around the organization, especially having Bruce Bochy back this year. And, Dusty Baker has been around as well. I love that some of these great managers are still part of the organization. And, boy, they certainly did do a great job. I mean, I think they were as instrumental as the players were during those years. And, just a special group all around.
Well, Ben, a couple days ago, Mike Krukow is calling it at his career over at the end of the year. A special man, a special voice that Giants fans just listened to over 30 years. Of course, I got to play with him on the same pitching staff of him for a couple of years. I've got to know him. But just a genuine person, just a friendly person, a friendly guy. That voice you always want to hear when that game comes on. Of course, illness is hurting him like he said, it was months, it's weeks, now it's days. And it's going to be a hard time. It's going to be a hard time to fill that slot. And Kipe's staying on, John Miller's staying on, Dave Fleming's staying on. But this is a big miss. This is a big chair that's going to be empty. And I think a lot of Giants fans are starting to understand that and see it. I'd love to hear what you have to say about him.
I think you said it great. I mean, he was a great pitcher. He's an outstanding broadcaster, one of the best. And like you said, he's just such a great, genuine person. He's so friendly at the ballpark and welcoming and wants to catch up with everybody. And yeah, I mean, I think, at least for me personally, when I heard the news, not necessarily shocking or surprising. You knew that this was probably going to come at some point, but it hits you hard, because this is a guy who has basically been such a huge part of the Giants for so long in so many different ways, and beyond the Giants, a part of the Bay Area community. And it really is going to feel like something is missing next year when he's not calling into games anymore. And again, thank goodness, like you said, Dwayne Kuiper will still be doing it. John Miller, Dave Fleming. I mean, I feel like Giants fans do understand and appreciate how lucky they are with this group of broadcasters. I mean, these are all elite Hall of Fame level broadcasters. And I think when you talk about Mike Krukow's impact in baseball, it goes beyond the Bay Area. You know, all these national writers have come out and talked about how good he is at his job and how fun he is to listen to. I think it was Jason Stark from The Athletic, who's a big national baseball writer back east. He wrote that, he's stayed up late watching countless Giants games just to hear Kruk and Kipe and to, learn something about the game and be entertained. And those guys, Kruk and Kipe in particular, boy, what a partnership they've had. And just, I don't think I've ever seen as good of a broadcast booth when you talk about chemistry and teaching you something while having fun. They're fantastic. So I'm glad that Dwayne is sticking around, and hopefully we'll see Kruko out at the ballpark, even if he's not on the broadcast.
Well, Ben, I want to thank you for your time on a Saturday. I know you got work to do, and of course, everybody gets to watch you on television in Cron 4. But a great job again connecting with me, Ben, and I appreciate it.
Anytime. Appreciate you having me on. Thanks a lot.
That was Ben Ross. You can watch him on Cron 4 Sports. Does a great job as an anchor. Coming up next, I think I've talked about it before. I was a big Detroit Tiger fan back in the day when I grew up in Toledo, and the 1968 Tiger team was somebody that I cherished, somebody that just made me into the game, that I love the game of baseball. From Al Kaline to Willie Horton and Norm Cash to Bill Freehand. But the pitching staff had something to do with this. Denny McClain, Mickey Lolich, Earl Wilson, and my guest today, John Hiller. That's going to come up next. John had 87 wins, 125 saves in his 15-year career. He was a World Series champ in 1968, an All-Star in American League. He grew up in Canada, and he was in the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. I got a chance to talk to John Hiller this week, and that's coming up next, right here on the Extra Inning Postgame Show on KNBR. John Hiller and I discuss baseball with the Detroit Tiger phenom.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. sound right, boys. It sound right, boys.
Bill is back.
Fired up, bringing it, all excited.
This is KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Listen on your Google Home smart speaker by saying play KNBR.
Welcome back to the Extra Inning Postgame Show with Bill Laskey. I'm delighted to bring a friend on. He pitched 15 years in Major League Baseball. In 1968, he was on the World Series team with the Detroit Tigers. He's also the American League Fireman of the Year in 1973, and he was also inducted into the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. My good friend John Hiller. How are you, John?
Okay, Billy, good morning.
Yeah, how are you doing? Everything good in Michigan?
Yeah, right now we got rid of some of that smoke here a few days ago, but yeah, everything's nice and peaceful, quiet. You know, your listeners, most of them are familiar, I think, with the UP, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So I'm 500 miles from Detroit right now. So.
Well, listen, you grew up in Toronto, Canada, and right now there's about 30 players that were born in Canada. Tell me a little bit about the British Columbia and how they draft players, and more scouts now are up in Canada?
Well, you go back when I was playing, I think Fergie Jenkins was the only other Canadian at the time playing. There might have been a couple more, but they didn't really have scouts that often. My coach was Bob Werner, and he was playing a little bit in the Indians with their team way back, and he stayed in Toronto. And we had a team that we'd go out on Friday nights, and he put a word into the fellow named Cy Williams out of Buffalo. And Cy came up and watched me pitch one game. It happened to be the first time there was lights at our ballpark, and he couldn't find the park, and then he saw the lights. And I happened to strike out 22 guys in 7 innings in that game.
I guess they signed you immediately after that, John.
Yeah, that allowed me to get a great bonus of a pair of spikes. Honest to goodness, that's what it was.
Well, you know, growing up in Toronto, it's just like me growing up in Ohio. The springs were very cold. It was very difficult to play on hard ground and freezing temperatures. How did you play in spring baseball up in Toronto?
Well, it wasn't, as a kid, you don't know.
Right.
I mean, up here in the UP, they're out there almost when the snow's still in the ground here is trying to get baseball season going. So we didn't notice. And, I was a frustrated hockey player. I wanted to play so badly, and I was not very good.
Mm-hmm.
And just a bunch of my chums, they got together and said, let's go play. And we didn't have Little League or Babe Ruth. Kiwanis ran most of our Little League stuff, but and we didn't have any uniforms. We had a hat and a shirt. And, it's just we went out and played baseball. And I just was very fortunate that I could throw strikes and, at a young age. And that was probably caught the eye of a few people because I didn't walk any batters hardly ever.
John Hiller joining me on the Extra Inning Post Game Show. Of course, you came up as a starting pitcher. We didn't really have bullpens and closers back in the day. Everybody wanted to go 9 innings. And that was one of the things that you just said. You struck out 22 guys. Being a starting pitcher at that time, that's what you wanted to be in the big leagues. And you ended up coming into big leagues in 1965 at 22 years old. Tell me a little bit about the minor leagues and then getting that jump to the big leagues, John.
Yeah, that was probably a shock to me. I was in Double A ball at the time, and they try you, as you know, they call people up in September, and I went up in September that year in 1965. My first batter was Gene Freeze, and I struck him out. That's about all I remember about that game. And I don't think I pitched a whole lot. Charlie Dressen was the manager. I don't even think he knew my name. He always whistled. He called me, "Hey, kid." So, we did what we wanted that we could. Of course, like you mentioned, everybody wanted to be a starter. But, we had 4 good starters in 67, 68, Denny McClain, Mickey Lolich, Joe Sparma, and Earl Wilson. And Pat Dobson was my roommate, and him being right-handed, me being left. So we'd fill in on Sunday doubleheaders, or if somebody got injured. And if there was predominantly right-handers, he would pitch, and vice versa for me if there was left-handers. So as you mentioned, I don't even know if I got a half a dozen saves in the 60s. They just didn't. Denny McClain, if you talked with him, I guess the other day, he was known to tell a manager to get back to the bench. I'm finishing this game. So, and Mickey Lolich, my stuff didn't look very good if I came in after Mickey. So, and Mickey completed, 20 some odd games every year also, pitched 300 plus innings. So our role was spot starter, long man, middle man, sometimes short man, but we just did what we were asked, especially as a rookie in first few years.
Well, John, you just said it. 4-man pitching staff, 4-man starting staff. They completed most of the games. When you talk about Denny McClain, 28 complete games in 1968. But you also had a big part in that 1968. You were 9-6 in 39 games, 12 started, 13 completed to have finished, and you ended up throwing 128 innings. Really a solid year. And a couple saves, but you were more or less that middle guy to go to with Pat Dobson as the closer. But was the bullpen used that much back then?
Well, on occasion, we had Fred Lasher, who submarine pitcher, and he threw pretty hard from down under. Darrell Patterson probably was the hardest thrower in the team. He came in on occasion to shut down somebody. So you just, it's hard to explain. I was happy to be there. Young kid out of Canada, and all of a sudden you're in Tiger Stadium and looking at 30,000 people, and I was just awestruck. So we all did what was asked of us. And, the saves didn't come until actually after my heart problem, and I came back and Billy Martin was the manager.
Yeah. Well, that 68 World Series, what a competition that was against the St. Louis Cardinals. And again, with Bob Gibson being on the hill against Denny McClain. But it really came down to Mickey Lolich being the MVP of that series. What did you think about going into that series? And then you guys were down. You had to come back and win that.
Yeah, we came close in 67. We just lost by a game, I believe, or a game and a half. And Boston, I won't say snuck in. We had a doubleheader against the Angels, and we needed to win 3 for a tie and 4 to win it. We just split with them. So, we knew we had a great team, and 68 was really an amazing because of how many times. I think it was 40 times we came back after the 7th inning to win ball games. So, that excites fans. It excites the city, excites the ball players, and be able to do that. I think we realized going into the St. Louis World Series that on paper they had probably a better team. I shouldn't say probably. They had a better team than us as far as reputation, and they were coming off a World Series win the year before, and they had Bob Gibson, and they had a lot of great players. So, but I don't know. We just knew we came from behind all year long, and I don't think we ever gave up. it's hard to think back and say exactly what was on our mind when we were down 3-1, but there was always a little hope. We always looked at, even when I coached, it was one game. We weren't down, 3-1. We were just one game down today. And then if we won that, we were not one game down tomorrow, and just approach it that way. If we thought we had to win 3 or 4 in a row, that wasn't going to work. So, we had some great breaks, a couple of things that maybe St. Louis wouldn't have done other times. And Willie Morton made that great throw to turn that whole game around. And then we should have known we were going to win it when Mickey Lolich hit his only major league home run in the World Series. So we should have figured right there, hey, we got this.
John Hiller joining me on the Extra Inning postgame show. Of course, he was a member of that 1968 World Series championship with the Detroit Tigers. Bill Freehan, one of the best catchers that ever wore a Tiger uniform. Tell me a little bit about your battery mate, and what did he make so confident with you when he came out to talk to you?
Billy was just, he was very intelligent on and off the field. He had a baseball smarts. I don't know, he must have caught 90% of the games. And honestly, I don't remember hardly ever shaking him off. I just went out there. He knew what I had, and he knew the hitters. I tried not to get too smart on the mound. A few times I shook people off. They didn't work. But Billy, unlike what you see today more, Bill sat right in the middle of the plate. He put his glove right in the middle of the plate. And John Sain was our pitching coach, and he always said, aim for the middle. You're going to have a little movement on the ball, and it might hit a corner. And, when I came back with a really good changeup. A fellow named John Grodzigi, actually out of the St. Louis system back then, I think, taught me this changeup, and that turned my whole career around. And Bill Freehan, he would just put down one finger or two fingers, fastball curve. He never asked for the changeup, and I could change up on my own, and he could handle it. It's amazing that I didn't mess him up. He'd put down one, and I could throw a changeup. And I think that made that changeup so much more effective because I wasn't out there shaking my head half the time. He should be in a Hall of Fame, Bill. He just 11-time All-Star. Great catcher. Good hitter, not great hitter, not great power, but he did the job. And being out there every day and doing what he did with Denny McClain and Mickey Lolich and handling the young players, he should be there.
Well, John, I was fortunate to have you as a pitching coach one year when we were in Toledo together, but I remember some of the conversations we had about Johnny Sain, about attacking the hitters, going after them, getting first pitch strikes, using the breaking ball as your secondary pitches. What did you learn from him on the physical side? And then what did you learn from him from the mental side? Because he was a guy that kind of pushed you at times.
Yeah, on the physical side, he worked with me. I ended up with I could throw strikes. And for some reason, I couldn't make the ball sink. So he said, well, just throw cross seamers. And I don't know why this happened, but my fastball would jump into a right-hander. It didn't have the spin of a cutter, but it had the action of a cutter. And, I was throwing 90, 91. I guess Bill Freehan figured that's what it was. And so I wasn't overpowering, but that little bit of movement. And Johnny Sain always believed number one, movement, and number two, location. He said, if you make a bad location pitch and it's got a little movement, chances are he's not going to square it up. So that's what he preached. And psychologically, he knew every pitcher. He got to know them personally. He got to know their mentality. And he would just, after a ball game, he had a bad ball game, he'd just come by you and he'd say, well, how's the family? How's everything else? We'll get him tomorrow. So, he'd been there, many, many times. And so he understood the philosophy, I guess, of a pitcher and the mind of a pitcher mindset. And, there was a lot of, I remember playing, and I'm not to knock Billy Martin because he got me back in the game. And I always thought, on the field, he was one of the better managers. But Billy had a thing. If you messed up for Billy, he'd go way around your locker the next day. He didn't want to look at you, So he took all of that pretty personal. But I think that's just the fact that he wanted to win so badly. He just hated to lose.
Well, John, you had some health issues in 1971 when you were 27 years old, and you came back in 72. But boy, in 1973, everything clicked. 65 games, 60 finished, 38 saves. Everything was right back in John Hiller on the mound. 1.44 earned run average. You talked about bringing that changeup in, another pitch in your arsenal that really worked for you coming out of the bullpen. How did you feel that year? And everything was consistent.
Yeah, it's hard to explain. There was no reason in the world, really. I was, before that, I figure, very average major league pitcher. And then all of a sudden, when I came back in 72, we had two closers in the bullpen, Fred Sherman and, Chuck Seelbach, I think that's what it was. And they both had some injuries, minor injuries. So I was pushed in right away after my second game. I was a closer. So then going into 73, all I can figure is I was in the best shape of my life after the heart attack. And maybe your listeners, I'll go back a bit. Listeners would be a little bit maybe interested in this fact that we didn't have rehab back then.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Bill, you being a pitcher, you think about this. It was a year and a half that I didn't face a batter. And physical-wise, I went from 200 pounds down to 150.
Oh.
Had some infection after my surgery, and then I built myself back, and I joined the team about 165. And all I did, I was sort of a pitching coach in spring training for my first manager, Stubby Overmeyer, and I threw batting practice to the hitters. That was the extent of my pitching. And all of a sudden, after I got clearance from actually President Johnson's cardiologist, that I was able to go back and pitch, all of a sudden, I sign a contract. I go into a ball game in Chicago, pitch 3 innings, don't walk anybody. And then 2 days later, I'm the closer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know, whether it's Providence or whatever, somebody looking out for me. There was no reason with my ability and such to go in there and save 73 games and then finish with 17 wins in 74.
Phenomenal year, John. That was just a phenomenal year, especially all the heartache you had trying to get back in the game. Your doctors were saying there's no way you're going to get back, and you kept pushing yourself, and you did a lot of that by yourself. How was it at times when you were sitting there all alone, wondering if you were going to get back in the big leagues? That had to be a lot of mental stress for you.
It probably, in a way, a good year and a half because of I was working and I had a motive to do things. Other than that, really bad. They had signed me, I said, like for a pitching coach. So I'm in Florida, and I'm making $7,500 a year, and that's 1971. I mean, my goodness, 72. And so I'm sending whatever paycheck I got back to the family. I had 2 kids at the time and a pregnant wife, and she had to move in with her family up in Minnesota. And I didn't have a place to live in Florida. They put me in actually Billy Martin in the clubhouse, and that was so crawling with cockroaches that they finally put me into the minor league complex. Gave me a little room there. And I saved we got $5, Bill, on the road.
Jeez.
And so I would split that between $250 at home and $250 on the road because I sent my paycheck back. And so I was living on $250 a day back then, eating big bowls of porridge in the morning, oatmeal. Call it porridge in Canada stuff. And I just sitting there alone at night, and my motivation was I had a family and I had to feed, take care of, and hopefully have a future. And that was a motivation, along with just give me a chance to get back. And if I can't make
healthy too, right, John? You had to get healthy. You had to get that heart back in shape. You had to get your legs back in shape. And the motivation was there for you.
Yeah, that part was, that part started right shortly after my heart attack. I remember in Duluth there was a YMCA I went to work out. There was 35 laps to a mile. It was a track indoors. Went around the top of the gym, and I hated to run long distance. I just hated it. I took 2 laps and fell down on my face. My legs were so bad, and I would get behind some runner and squint my eyes and just picture myself in the mound, and that's it. And did the other workout. Started playing racquetball, which really helped. And it took me 6 months and 8 months, and I just got in the best shape of my life. It's a shame I had to have a heart attack for a wake-up call because I was a bit of a lazy ball player back in the day.
John Hiller joining me on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. Tell me your thoughts when you got back on that hill, when you got back in Tiger Stadium, when you were back in the big leagues, everything that happened before that time, all like you said, running laps, playing racquetball, believing that you could be back in the big leagues. How motivated were you when you walked on that hill back in the big leagues?
Well, that first game in Chicago, I was scared to death. What was nice, the Chicago fans gave me a standing ovation. So they baseball fans or sports fans, they know the history of their players and what's going on in the world. So my first batter was Dick Allen, and he's standing there. I threw a fastball. He didn't offer at it. I threw a breaking ball. He didn't offer at it. And it was almost like he looked at me and he said, "Okay, young fella, if that's what you got, bring one of them." And he hit one. It's the hardest ball I ever had hit off me, other than my teammate Willie Horton later when he went to Seattle. But he almost cleared the fence in Comiskey Park. There was a dent there, and that dent stayed for the whole time that stadium stood. But
did you sign it though, John? Did you go out and sign the
dent? And then after the game, like I said, I pitched 3 innings. Billy Martin was on the bench screaming. He's yelling, "Here's a guy came back from the dead. He can throw strikes. How come nobody else can throw strikes?" And Bill Freehand, after the game, he says, "Nice job, John." I says, "Billy, I don't even remember what went on out there. I was just in a fog." He says, "Well, you crossed me up 5 times." And I said, "Billy, you caught them all, though, so my stuff mustn't be very good."
Well, John, you talk about 73 with a great year. In 74, you came back, you made the American League All-Star team. You were 17-14 that year, 59 games. Again, over 150 innings. Everything worked well for you. 13 saves, 52 games finished. What happened the second year after you had such a great year as a closer? How did you get in so many games and get so many damn wins?
Well, I think first of all, it was we didn't have a great team. It was just Ralph Houk took over, and we had a lot of young players, and we just I'm not sure what our record was. It was probably one of the worst, though. And so I found myself into a lot of ball games, and I could pitch every day. I don't. I watch nowadays when they talk. He pitched 2 days. He might not be available. Billy Martin had me in 13 games in 15 days at one time. I picked up 8 saves in that period, which made my whole year all really. But I don't know. It just he kept. I was in ball games late. I might come in when we were down 1 or tied, and we'd win a couple games. Always came back still. And one of the reasons I lost 14 is when I was about 17-9 or 17-8. And Ralph Houk came to me with about a month left, and he says, "Well, the team, we're going to do personal stuff." And he says, "John, I'm going to give you a chance to win some more ball games because Elroy Face has a major league record of 18 wins out of the bullpen. So every tie ball game, I'm going to put you in." Well, every one of them I lost. So that's why I end up with 14 losses. I think those will be numbered. Go ahead, Bill.
A few more minutes with John Hiller. John, I wanted to talk about a couple hitters. One that you did really well against, and one he got you a little bit. So let's go into the one that you pretty much dialed against. Reggie Jackson, 10 for 47. You had 213 off you. Did really well against Reggie. Now, he was a younger left-hander. And then the other one was Greg Nettles. He got you pretty well. He was 19 for 53. 2 good left-hand hitters. Tell me a little bit about both of them.
Well, I think Reggie, with my stuff in the spot, see, earlier in my career, I didn't have the changeup, so it was against him. It was just fastballs and curveballs. Back to Johnny saying he taught me this little slurve, and that I could throw for a strike pretty often. So I just kept the ball away from him, and I just, I didn't realize I even gave up 10 hits to him. I remembered one, but Greg could go out over. There was Greg Maddox, there was Nettles, there was Rod Carew, and George Brett. And they all could, little left-handers, they all had some power when they wanted it, but they could hit the ball the other way. And when I had to face a left-hander that could go out and hit that outside pitch the other way, I had a problem with them. And I didn't throw any change-ups to left-handers. I don't know why. I just didn't. Probably should have more. But there were three fellas I didn't want to see come up to the plate at all. I got a lot with the Twins. But Eddie could take a big swing. I had a good opportunity getting out, mainly because of the off-speed stuff.
Yeah.
But the fellas that could punch the ball all around the field, I had a hard time with them. Just did.
Well, John, as we finish up here, 87 wins in your career, 125 saves over 15 years. When you remember this, what is one of the biggest memories you had in your major league career?
Oh, my goodness. Well, the biggest memory is, other than the World Series, and that's the obvious one, is just that first day coming back after a year and a half, what I went through and my family went through, and all of a sudden it was paying off. So we're back on the mound, and the doctors that treated me and gave me the okay. So that game in itself, couple of personal games is playing against the Yankees. And I came into the ball game with bases loaded and one out. And I'm not sure how that batted came, but then Bonds came up. And Bonds used to, I don't know, he used to yell at me when I was on the mound, like, you don't have good stuff. So anyways, we're up by one, Bill. It's 3-2 on the batter on Bonds. And Billy puts down fastball, and I said, oh, no, he's sitting on fastball. So I threw a changeup. And he couldn't even swing at it. He just sort of stood there. He flexed, and he's yelling at me all the way back. You can't throw that pitch. You can't throw that pitch at that time. And I'm smiling out there. So
those are the greatest memories as pitchers, right? We got them, and
yeah.
they're just screaming at you. Most of them are screaming in the dugout after you strike them out. They're always screaming at you. But, John, what a great career you had. And as I said earlier, it was a pleasure having you as a pitching coach one year. We had a lot of good talks and a lot of good conversation. And our friendship continued, John. But I just want to appreciate your time again today.
I really appreciate it. I'm glad to do it, Billy.
That was John Hiller on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. More coming up right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
The game may be over, but we know you want to talk more ball. So KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey continues.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
We are KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Welcome back to the Extra Inning post-game show with Bill Laskey as we finish out a Saturday show. The Giants get shut out by the Detroit Tigers earlier today, 8-0. The Tigers had 8 runs on 10 hits. The Giants only had 2 hits, and they got shut out for the 12th time on this season. Tomorrow, 1:05, the Giants are going to try to win the rubber match of a 3-game series against the Tigers. Logan Webb, 7-7 with a 3.7 earned run average, takes on Troy Melton, a right-hander who's 7-1 with a 1.5 earned run average. First pitch right here on KNBR at 1:05. I want to thank my 2 guests today, Ben Ross from Cron 4 Sports and John Hiller, the 1968 World Series champion. If you missed either one of those interviews, you can find them on the All KNBR podcast. I also want to thank Giants fans for calling in and talking Giants baseball. That's what's great about talk radio. I'll be on tomorrow on the Extra Inning post-game show following the 3rd game. Denny McClain, the last 30-game winner, will join me, and Bobby Evans, the general manager of the San Francisco Giants, as we talk about the 5 players that went on the Wall of Fame from Bobby Evans' time with him. For Kyle Haar, I'd like to thank him for producing the show. I'm Bill Laskey. We'll do it again tomorrow after the game. Have a great rest Saturday night. More coming up right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
It's another great outing for the righty on your home of San Francisco Giants baseball. KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.